Chris Miller, how you doing, brother?
I am doing great, Terry. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Just trying to recover from the little redneck European tour I was on.
Yes.
Hey, you told me you were you're from Scotland, or your family?
Yeah, my family's from Scotland. My great-great-grandfather from way back in the day was second in line to the throne. He owned like half of Scotland.
Wow.
But then they, of course, they lost the war, so he lost his head.
He was on the wrong side of history, I guess, on that. Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's probably why we get along so well, because I'm Irish blood, Irish descent, half Irish, half German. So I traced but my family originated, at least the side that's not German, originated from Scotland, but they moved from Scotland to Ireland, and so we trace most of our ancestry back from Ireland. So I think that's why we have such a kindred spirit. You and I, we enjoy the same types of hats. I've noticed that. I've got a picture of you up on the screen right now of holding the You Are Worth More book with your hat on. I said, I like that hat. I'm gonna have to get one like that myself. So
yeah, when my son sees it, he tells me it's a very Irish hat all the time.
Yeah, I love it.
Whenever I wear it.
I love it. So anyway, I want to get right into it. A lot of our people have heard from several different people that have been with me for years, but most of the time, there are people that are resellers of TW3, and you're very unique in the fact that most of the time people that are using our tools, they're using it and they're off in their corner and you never hear from them, and you never see from them. And so you're very unique in the fact that you're more of a user of the tool rather than a reseller, and have done real well. So I want to get right into it and sort of introduce you to our audience. They've probably seen you on the chat before. And I know several people that were at the conference got to see you and hear from you, but I wanted to sort of open up to the wider audience and sort of introduce them to Miller Time himself, Chris Miller. Everybody gives me a hard time. Why do you give all these guys nicknames? I said, well, it's a memory a tool that I use for recall because I'm getting older and can't remember much anymore. But anyway,
hey, it's better than my old coach. My old coach used to tell me, he used to call me Killer Miller.
Killer Miller. So you got to have something.
Better
right?
than that.
Well, brother, you are killing it. Let's get right into it. Give the folks a little bit about your background. What is your business background?
Well, Terry, I'm an old door-to-door guy from way back. My first job actually was selling Kirby's.
Oh my gosh.
So I did that for about 8 years.
I did rainbows.
And
so
I had
funny.
my own shop with him and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know you did a rainbow thing. We talked about that at the conference.
Yeah.
And, I just I could never understand how they could sell those rainbows.
Listen, you're not going to draw me into an argument. I'm agnostic when it comes to the vacuum world. Okay. I'll yield on that.
Well, yeah, I did it for a while. I had my own shop, but I wanted to do something more with my life. So I gave it up and I went out there and I started my own shop, my own company for the first time. And it was a perfume company, which was big back in those days because I was living in Florida.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I failed and I crashed and burned miserably. But
well, what was the fragrance?
I just couldn't shake the thought that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
It should have worked, man, and it just should have worked. So I actually reopened it a couple of years later.
Good for you. So that's close.
I couldn't get enough of it that time. I could not get enough of it. It was working really well the second time around.
So you got.
Then I closed it up, joined the Army after the September 11th thing, and I did that for a decade. And now I'm in finance and starting up a broker school recently that you taught me how to do. So that was really cool.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, man, you got a
whirlwind life, man.
Yeah, diverse. I mean, went from vacuum sales door to door to fragrance and perfumes to the military and now into finance. So you've got a pretty wide, breadth of understanding. So that's pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and somewhere in there I found time to make a family, right?
Yeah, exactly. And a family man on top of that. That's cool. So how long have you been exactly with TW3?
Let's see. I got started in TW3 after I started chatting with Gary Green back in December of last year.
Okay, so not quite a year yet. not quite a year because we're recording this interview.
Just about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. And how right now have you been using the tools here at TW3? What are you doing? What's your take on what we do and how are you using it right now?
Well, yeah, I guess everybody's different. Like you're saying, a lot of people come in looking for something to sell, and you're really great about providing them that opportunity. And I know a lot of people here do that. Personally, I don't go around selling TW3, as you know.
Right.
But I do come to as many of these meetings as I possibly can, because I'm always learning something new every time that I do that. And really, that's the biggest benefit for me, is this education that you give me. Because, I mean, I have just learned so many things about how to drive traffic in today's marketplace, and it's launched me in new directions that I never thought I'd go. I mean, you just blew my mind.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad but that's cool. So you're coming, honestly, you're in this business a lot like, and it's eerie how similar our backgrounds are, because quite frankly, when I started TW3, it wasn't to resell, quote unquote, the tools at TW3. I was in a different type of space, than your finance, but I was in finance. I was more in the insurance, retirement planning side of things. And, I think that gives you so much credibility though, and a better way to, if you ever wanted to pivot and do anything as a coach in TW3, you've got the working knowledge behind you, because you can say, well, this is how I started my first year. Cause that's how I did it. My first 3 or 4 years had nothing to do with selling anything, but just using it to generate leads for my insurance and retirement planning business. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think the world of this company that you put together is just amazing. And the people here, everybody's always been fantastic. It's just such a great group. I can't really imagine not coming to the meetings myself. I would miss too much.
I think sometimes we take it for granted because we're just around these folks so much. But it was one of the things I remember about you specifically from the conference was how you constantly saying, hey, it's just so unique to see this quality of people in an organization like this. And that spoke volumes to me, because I've been preaching it for years. Culture. Because if you have the right business culture, you'll produce the right products, goods, services, and coaching and everything else. And you're right. I mean, your recruiter, Greenbacks, as I like to call him, he is just a monster when it comes to closing. We've got other people that, I tease her all the time, Miss Spelling Bee. She's come on real strong. I don't know if you remember her, Lori, from the conference, but she was the one that was having fun with my grammar and spelling at the time.
Yeah, I remember.
But this lady is just knocking it down. Of course, Captain Quackenbush, as we call him, Mark Griffin. We've just got so many people that are just high quality, top-notch people that are doing so well. And I need to stop mentioning names because I'll forget someone and then someone will get mad at me. But it's just you.
It was really cool when I was at the conference. I got to meet some of these people and, see what the superstars are doing,
Well, yeah.
Maybe one day I'll be there.
You are there. What are you talking about? Let's just get into it. How much money have you made using the tools thus far? You started last December. We're recording this in October. So it's not been quite a year. So tell the folks, just using the tools, and you've already admitted that you haven't sold any, you're just using the tools. You're not reselling the tools. What have you made roughly?
Well, in order to answer that, I got to give you just a little backstory so you understand why I'm saying what I say.
Okay.
But, like you say, I'm a superstar, but I'm no rich guy by any means. I don't have all those cool luxuries to take trips to Europe like you got, you and your family.
And don't be throwing shade.
I'm on the track, man. I'm on the track, As you know, I'm in finance, so I keep a good ledger of what's going on. But back when I met Gary in December, I was actually in quite a bind. I had just gotten abandoned by my wife for 15 years. My son and I were on our own for the first time.
Man.
I got fired from my job as well because of that.
Oh.
And I had pretty much gone through my life savings at that point. And I started the brokering thing because a friend advised me to do that. And I was struggling. I was struggling to actually start getting things working in that regard as well. Even though I've been doing it for a long time, I just wasn't making those connections.
Right.
So I was walking the tightrope. But, you know, I was also 115,000 in the hole when I met Gary.
Oh.
So I had some big decisions to make there, you know. And why am I telling you all that? Well, I'm telling you that so you can really understand the reverence that I have in my heart for your company, because of what it has done for me, all this information, all these tools, all the stuff that I've learned. I mean, this year is not over yet, but with the training and the tools that I've learned right here at TW3, I've already banked $143,000 this year.
Oh, wow. Chris.
It's been a wild, nerve-wracking ride, too.
Man.
So it has helped me get out of this crashing debt that I thought I was never going to get out of, you know. I mean, if I had worked a typical 9 to 5, it'd take me the rest of my life to get out of the debt like that.
Well, dude, I don't know what constitutes a rock star in your vocabulary. But dude, you just told me in a matter of 10 months, you've knocked $143,000 out. That's,
I just wish I could keep any of it.
Well, but you know,
but that's what next year is about. Next year, I want to start living my life, you know?
Well, yeah, but you climbed out of a hole, you know?
Yes. Huge hole.
And I'm sure that has brought some peace of mind, which you cannot put a price tag on. Because I don't know, to me, you know, going through what I went through back in 2008, there is no stress like financial stress. I mean, and you compound that with family issues that are going on, losing your job and all that. I mean, that's had to have, you know, some peace of mind that's worth more than probably that $143,000.
Oh yeah. The first step for me was just learning how to generate my own leads so that I didn't have to pay for them anymore, because I was paying $200 a lead and the leads were junk.
Right.
I mean, just junk. Right. Everybody and their cousin already had them before me, you know, so that was a huge savings just in itself, you know.
Man, that's awesome.
And then I started getting people calling me instead of me having to call all them all the time. And the next thing you know, I'm start closing sales, and it just kept building and building and building. It was great. Did
you experience the same thing I did, in the fact that when you can flip the script and have people call you rather than you having to call them, it also helps your conversion rate? There's something psychologically that you sort of have an advantage at that point. Whereas when you're calling,
I don't know, but it's a different conversation. That's for sure. I mean, it's a different animal when you're not actually selling and you're just, you know, giving information.
Yeah.
Really,
I've always, in my personal,
they're calling me and I'm just like talking.
Yeah. I've always done better when the client is calling me on my conversion rate. It just feels like, you know, okay, you're pulling on me. I'm not pushing on you. And so there's just something about that. Maybe it's just in my own psyche. It might not have anything to do with them. It might have everything to do with me. But I've always done better in business when I've had the client calling me rather than me trying to, you know, call on the client and then convince them to buy something from me.
Yeah, I don't know personally. It might be a you thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
I mean,
Sure.
I've got about a 50% closing rate.
Yeah.
And throughout my my life in sales, I mean, I've been in sales for like 27 years, you know, I usually have about a 50% closing rate.
Right.
So, and normally I don't have people calling me like I do now.
Yeah. Well, isn't that cool? I mean, that's a whole lot easier to scale the business. So, well, what was your big takeaway? You were at the conference. What was the big takeaway that you had at the You Are Worth More conference that we just summed up back in March of this year?
Yeah, I love the conference. I can't wait for the next one. You know, I wasn't even going to go to the conference last year.
Really?
I wasn't going to go. It was expensive for me, man. I was in the hole.
I get it.
And I didn't want to do it if I wasn't going to be part of everything, which means I needed to upgrade to the elite package. And because I was just a sales rep and trainer,
right,
which was all I could afford when I was talking to Gary.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I was evaluating it too, man. I was like, will I make my money back if I give Gary $750? You know,
which is a fair question.
Think that through. You know, so, and then, you know, I decided, you know, if you're going to do something, go all the way. So I went ahead and I upgraded to the Elite, and I got a hotel room, and I drove up there, and it was a great decision because, like I said, I got to meet all the people, and just really great people in this group. And I got to learn even more. And something you said, like, literally supercharged me and took me in a different direction than I ever would have gone. And I know that when you said it, you didn't even know that you were saying some, like, amazing pearl of wisdom. And you just kind of, you were talking about something else completely, you know?
Right.
And you just kind of threw it out there off the cuff, and you were like, just out of nowhere, you just said, any information can be turned into an informational product. And man, it just lit me up like a light bulb when you said that.
Really?
Because here I had already started making money using what you taught me for my brokerage business, right? I had already learned, I knew everything there was to know about these particular things, and I could have a side gig where I could teach other people how to do that. That was pretty cool. On my way home, as I was driving back, I mean, I had like a 8-hour drive.
Right, from
so
Greenville
on my
to
way
Florida,
back,
yeah.
I had to go and for Florida. So I just hashed it all out in my head, and I just ran with it, and that's how factorcareers.com was born, man.
Man, that is so awesome. But, you know, isn't it amazing, though? I honestly think you caught that little throwaway line because you were there and you were hungry. I mean, you were like a sponge when you were at the conference. I watched you, and you were hanging around Gary and some of the other guys, and you were just like observing everything. And, Mark has a saying that when he talks about the conference, the reason why people need to be there is because some things are caught and some things are taught. And what you walked away with wasn't even presented from the lectern. It wasn't even in one of the talks. It wasn't one of the trainings. Yeah. It was just in a small group. We were talking, and I said something, you know, I honestly don't even remember saying it, to be honest. But you reminded me at that conference that, you know, you told me this is what you said and this is what I'm doing at the conference. And then you've reminded me a couple times since. And it's just amazing how just being around in that networking environment, because you were so hungry, what you walked away with.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Well,
I love it. It was just that little quick second.
Yeah,
just changed my life around.
Because you were in a position where I'm here to learn, and I'm here to soak up whatever anybody gives me, because you were determined to take your business to a new level, and you got the information to do that. Why are you passionate about what you do? Tell the folks what gives you the passion to do what you do now.
Well, what I love most about what I do is that I get to change people's lives all the time for the better. You know, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. You know, I talk to clients all the time that tell me their horror stories and, you know, how their dreams are falling apart around them. I mean, when you go out there and you build your own company, that's your dream that you're building. You know, that is your baby. And if it's crumbling, you're crumbling inside. You know, I mean, that's an emotional thing. And I mean, like I mentioned with the perfume company, when it failed the first time, I just couldn't get my head around why that would happen. So, I mean, I was a glutton for punishment. I reopened it. Luckily for me, it didn't fail the second time. You know, but that's what it's all about. You know, it's like, these are our dreams, man. And if the bank's not going to help us out, what can we do to get the cash we need? Well, luckily, there's Chris Miller over there that's willing to help you out. And that's in a large part because of you and TW3. You know, you guys taught me how to get myself in front of these people that wouldn't be looking for me otherwise. They wouldn't know that these things are out there that somebody else could help them other than their bank. Right. You know, unless I was in front of them. And you showed me how to do that. So it's really cool.
But you're passionate because you're helping people and you're seeing the fruit of helping people. And the money is just a byproduct. I've always said, if you really enjoy what you're doing and you love it and it's helping other people, you can't help but start seeing, you know, the monetary benefits of that as well. So that's just awesome. Awesome. Well, in business, and you've already talked a little bit about, your history and what you've done. Some things you won at, some things wasn't a win. How do you overcome those times when it's a little bit disappointing? What's your because you're talking to some people tonight, when this recording goes out, there's people that just started. Maybe they, been in entrepreneurialism for just a couple months and it's already, they've sort of stubbed their toe, or they're counting on a deal and it fell through. What do you tell those folks? Well, what's your way of overcoming disappointments?
Stay busy, be pushing yourself all the time. I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't even have time to figure out if there's disappointments and things that I'm doing right or wrong, because I just don't have the time. I mean, any minute I'm working on 6 projects or more simultaneously. This is probably the most downtime I've had all week. So,
So your advice is don't dwell on it. Keep moving.
I just focus on what's working and I double down on that. I don't have time to worry about what didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, that's so great.
Just keep rolling.
Just keep rolling.
Roll. And commit to doing something. If I didn't upgrade to the elite package when I decided to go to the conference, I would not have been in that room to hear you tell me to start my own school.
So that $700.
You didn't exactly tell me to start my own school, but that's what you told me in my mind. So
right.
I wouldn't have been there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so you invested in yourself to gain more information, and it's paid wild dividends. So that's awesome. What advice would you give people that are just starting? I think you've already hit that. Just keep rolling. Why should someone consider starting with you, Chris Miller at factorcareers.com?
That is a great question. I would have to say the world changes too fast for a school to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So you have to learn new things as you go. The nice thing about me at factorcareers.com, what we do is we teach cutting edge stuff, just like you do at TW3. That's one of the things I like about TW3 also, is that you are always updating us on new things, because it's not stagnant information. Neither is the stuff that I'm selling. We've even got some TW3 members that have been part of my course, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that we're cutting edge stuff that we talk about. So, and I'm glad to say some of them are doing well. Others are just getting started, but we're all just getting started in that particular course because it's fairly new.
Sure. Absolutely. All right. Well, last question, and I'm going to let you go because I know you're a busy man, and I want to honor your time because I know you got clients to speak with. But
I do have 3 jobs. So.
You have 3 jobs. Well, how can others get in contact with Miller Time, Chris Miller?
Well, like I said, I do have 3 jobs, but I do always strive to stay available. I mean, when someone calls, I actually try to answer the phone. Sometimes, admittedly, though, I will answer it with the wrong company name and have to backtrack. But the easiest way to reach me is drop me an email, and then I get back to you, or connect up with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at @FactorCareers, and all my contact info is there as well. So that's the easiest way.
Sounds great. Chris, I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thanks very much for calling, Terry. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.